All right, welcome to another edition of Ranking the Songs here on Rock Show Critique. And I got a special guest to help me do this, and we're doing it for the band Queen. And if you guys have watched this channel in the past, you may recognize my guest here, Mr. David Hens. Welcome.
Nope. Yeah. Thanks again. It's good to be back. I think the Pearl Jam was the last time we did this. So
Yeah, we haven't done too many of these
yeah,
together over the last while, but it's always a
yeah,
good time when we get together to talk music for sure.
hmm
Definitely appreciate you coming on here. And so, what's happening on in your area there over at Music and Other Drugs? Tell them about what's going on over there.
I have a couple interviews worked up. I don't have them confirmed yet, but I should have them maybe scheduled by the end of the week. So I don't want to say anything with what if
No,
it's not 100% yet, but I
we
got
don't
some
want to
stuff.
jinx it.
Yeah, I got some stuff working though. But yeah, I'm still I do my son likes to get involved with the website too now. He does a lot of stuff, so
Nice.
he's just as obsessed with music as I am. So
Oh, that's good. It gives you an extra
yeah.
set of hands to help you there, which
Yep.
is nice. Because if
Yeah.
the more people you got helping you, always the better for sure.
Yeah. And as the spring and summer pick up, I'll get start hitting more shows now. So
Yeah, it definitely this part over here in the Western New York region this time of the year, man, we're starving for shows. Not really a
yeah.
lot going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, I know that a lot of places, like Batavia announced their schedule, and Art Parks actually got a few shows I want to go to for once,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
It's not last year. I didn't go to our park at all. I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of not the same as they used to be. But yeah.
Yeah, but they're starting to
Mhm.
get some shows there, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll keep trending in the right direction because I know that there's still probably many more shows to announce there. They haven't
Mhm.
announced half their schedule, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the top 10 of Queen, and if we got some time at the end, we'll do some honorable mentions. So we're going to get rolling here. Yeah, Queen, what a band. These guys, seems like whenever you get these bands that have put out 10 or more albums and you do a show like this, it's really hard to come up with 10. I mean, I'll be shocked if me and you have more than three of the same songs just because they have so many albums and they're so deep in their catalogs here.
Yeah, I mean, I was going over my list again. I think I'm partial to the '70s. So like I think like if like maybe the casual fan looked at my list, they might not agree with it at all because maybe it's a little contrarian because I mean I like a lot of the hits, but the stuff I go back to is mostly like the deeper album cuts.
Yeah.
So
That's what I like about Queen, it's not
yeah.
always the songs you heard on the radio that might catch your attention. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. So, all right, so we're going to go two at a time. We'll start off with our number 10 and our number 9 and go ahead and lead the way here.
All right, yeah. My number 10 is going to be Hammer to Fall from '84 on the Works album. I love the riff. I love the energy of Freddie's vocal on that song. I mean, obviously, the performance from Live Aid is kind of like the definitive version, but the album version is also great. Yeah, and I remember when that was one of the like later songs they did when Queen toured with Paul Rogers. I don't know if you saw that show in Buffalo, but I went to that show and that was one of the songs that he performed. I thought they did a pretty solid version of it. But yeah, I just love the the energy, the backing vocals, the harmonies on that song are great. Yeah, so that's my number 10. And then number 9 is "Keep Yourself Alive." It's the opening track on the first album. I think it's great. I mean, Brian May uses a lot of effects on his guitar. It's pretty cool. Just that it's got a great drum solo from Roger Taylor in there too. That's one of his notable ones. Yeah, so I mean, for the opening blast of Queen's first album, I think it's a killer way to introduce the band.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, so 10 and 9, you got a 80 song and a 70 song to start things off here. So, um, well, my number 10 is coming off the 1989 release, The Miracle. And I'll tell you, when I first started doing this list, I never would have thought in a million years this song would have even made my top 20. But here it is at number 10. I'm talking about I Want It All. Yeah, for some reason, this song over time has just grown on me so much that here we are talking about it. Here is my number 10 song. It did reach number 50 as a single in the US. Making it the last Queen single to ever chart in the US. And it peaked at number 3 in the UK. So obviously you can see how much they loved it. Written by Brian May, but credited to Queen, and it was written before the band went into the studio to start recording The Miracle. Um, I'd say that's definitely the highlight song on that album for sure for me. So that's where I've got that one. My number nine, Great Minds Think Alike. Here's our first duplicate, Hammer to Fall. You got it at number 10. I've got it at number nine. Yeah, well, obviously another song written by Brian May.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it peaked at number 13 on the UK charts. You mentioned Live Aid. It was the third song that was performed at the historic concert, and it was the fourth and final UK single released from the album. So, yeah, this album, The Works, is definitely one of my favorite Queen albums. You know, if you watched our ranking, it was me, you, and we had Tom Jennings on. We went
Mm-hmm.
over and did this Queen ranking the albums, which definitely real fun time, really digging deeper into the albums here. But we're just going to do the songs this time around. So I've got I Want It All, number 10, Hammer to Fall at 9. That takes us down to 8 and 7. What do you got for yours there?
All right. My number eight is "Tie Your Mother Down." It's one of my favorite Brian May riffs. It's got that heavy, just pure guitar intro to it. It's a great. It's kind of a silly concept that Freddie just took. They had like the whole "Tie Your Mother Down" concept. It wasn't meant to be anything serious, but then they turned it into like one of the most rocking songs, and I just love that. And then my number seven is "Don't Stop Me Now" from Jazz. I think I love the arrangement. I love the line that just oh, it's just a great. I mean, it's probably one of the most. It might be the most or one of the more commercial songs down my list actually, but it's been used in movies and TV and stuff. But I just love it. Yeah, that's it's my probably my favorite song off Jazz. So
All right, very good.
mm,
And we might hear more from that one later on. Not quite sure yet. We'll see. All right. Number 8 for me. It's going to take us back to the album that really landed Queen on the map here, and we're talking about the 1975 release, A Night at the Opera. And I've got You're My Best Friend at number 8. Uh, this peaked at number 16 in the US, number 7 in the UK. But it seems like as it's gone on, time has gone on, this song is just grown in stature, I feel. It's just weird how sometimes when you look back at a band, especially when they kind of ended before their time, they lost Freddie. They didn't really record any new music once he passed. They just released that one album, Made in Heaven,
mhm.
which was songs that Freddie had worked on, and then the band went in there after the fact and kind of spruced them up to make an album out of it to finish it. But um, yeah, it's really a shame when you lose a member like that, where the band, although they've gone out with other singers and toured at Queen with Brian Paul Rogers, Queen with Adam Lambert, it's still not the same as the original lineup, and with John Deacon retiring, and
Yeah.
you know, but You're My Best Friend is definitely no, that's the one that was actually written by John Deacon about his wife, was interestingly enough, and it was played up until the end of the North American tour for the game, and they haven't really, after that they didn't really play it with Freddie anymore. They brought it back, I believe, with other singers. And interesting note on here was that Deacon plays a Wurlitzer electric piano on the studio version. He's mostly known as a bassist, but here he
Mhm.
is playing other instruments. So he was kind of like their more, I would say, what would you say, MVP of the band, because he did a lot of things that you never would have realized, and he wrote so many great songs
Mhm.
that as you're going to notice on my list here, this isn't the first time we're going to hear from Mr. Deacon, and but that's what I got at number 8. Number
Mhm.
7, I'm going back to News of the World and another John Deacon song. We're talking about Spread Your Wings, which oddly enough, it didn't do anything here in America, but in the UK it did reach at number 34. And yeah, it's just weird how certain songs are different in different areas when they're released. Um, but that's what we got here for Spread Your Wings. I just simply love this song. Just listen to the lyrics and you'll see what it's all about for sure. All right, so that's what we got. Seven, Spread Your Wings, and that'll take us down to your six and five here.
Yeah, my number six, I'm going to go to News of the World for It's Late.
Mm.
That's always been my favorite song off that record. I love the clean guitar intro from Ryan May, and then Freddie's voice comes in, and then Brian May also uses some tapping techniques on the guitar in that song, which is pretty cool. And then when they jump into the "It's Late" chorus, it's like that huge break, and I just always love that song. My number five, I'm going to go to Queen 2 for March of the Black Queen. I don't
Ooh.
know how many people like casual Queen fans have even know that song, but it's. I mean, Brian May is referred to it as kind of like a spiritual precursor to Bohemian Rhapsody in a lot of ways because it's got a lot of shifting like time signatures and it's kind of a complex piece. But it's a beautiful song, especially if you listen to it on vinyl. It just sounds great. Yeah, that's my number five.
All right, yeah, that one definitely out of left field there. Like you said, a lot of people aren't
Yeah.
familiar with the song, but
Mhm.
this is the good thing about these type of rankings here. It gives somebody an idea. Hey, I got to go check this song out. I got to hear what this guy's talking about here because I never heard this song, and that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's awesome. All right, so as complex and as great as that song is, I come up with number six for me, a song that's kind of like baby talk. We're talking about Radio Gaga, which was an interesting song written by Roger Taylor, the drummer, and deals with, he's talking about how radio used to be the main catalyst out there for music, and then this was right in the video age. And that's why you hear all these different mentions about video and all this other stuff in the song. Um, I guess the thing is, Roger Taylor's little son was saying Radio Gaga, and that's kind of how they all came about for the title
Mhm.
and everything. Um, Peaked at number two in the UK and number 16 in the US. And oddly enough, although it didn't reach good in the US, it was number one in 19 countries. Isn't that an interesting take?
Mhm.
Like how in the world is US it's only number 16 and then everywhere else it's either, one or two. It's just crazy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely crazy for sure. All right, so that's my number six. Number five, I'm going to back to that album that you mentioned called Jazz. And I've got a kind of like a really unheard song here that people may not be familiar with. Jealousy. Classic piano song there, written by Freddie. It was the fourth and final single from Jazz. It failed the chart and it was only released in five countries, but it just did fail the chart there. They didn't release that song in the US though. I would say perhaps the most underrated, least known great song in the entire Queen catalog. It's a luxury and ballad featuring a particular moving bass line from Deacon. If you listen to it, it just kind of seems like a somber song in a way, but then Freddie's vocal just takes that song to a whole nother level. So that's what I got there. Jealousy at number five. All right, what do you got for this? Getting down quick here. We got four and
Yeah.
three.
Mhm. Yeah. My number four, I'm going to go back to the debut for Liar.
Hmm.
It's a killer song. I mean, they use Hammond organ on it, which is great. It's just a tight rocker. That's the thing about Freddie's voice is like he could do ballads as well, if not better than anybody. But when it came down to like a really kind of almost like thrash like rock song where he had to get down and dirty, he could do that as well as anybody also. And I think it really exemplifies it on this song. That's it's probably my favorite song off the debut album. So yeah, and then my number three is Ogre Battle from Queen 2. It might be arguably the heaviest song in the whole catalog. It's got like a kind of like an early like thrash metal style riff, and it was actually written by Freddie on a guitar a few years earlier. Like he wrote it on an acoustic guitar. So I mean, it's the lyrics are essentially about two ogres fighting, but the structure of the song is great. It's got some heavy riffs in it. It might be another one that casual fans might not be familiar with, but if you like the heavy side of Queen, that's definitely one to check out.
All right, very good. So that's going to leave you with two more to go, and I got to give you out number four and three for me.
Mhm.
And I've got number four. I'm going back to News of the World once again, and we got Sheer Heart Attack. And this song is a forensic song. It is probably the fastest paced Queen song. Maybe not the heaviest or loudest like you mentioned, but it's definitely the fastest. This song just cooks and it just goes nuts. And this album, this song actually obviously was started back around the time of the Sheer Heart Attack album, which was written like 3 years ahead of the punk movement. And and as you can see how it turned out, it's just really a fa really fast punkish type song with Freddie and Roger Taylor also mixes in some vocals there, and it's just a forensic song. That guitar of May phenomenal on here, just like a blend of buzzsaw of guitars there. The way that song just cooks. And yeah, the reason why I mentioned Taylor, he did sing lead on the actual demo, but then they decided to let Freddie do the album version, and Taylor just kind of did some background vocals to kind of spruce it up there. But a very interesting song nonetheless, and obviously it took them a while to finish it. That's why it wasn't on the album of the same name, and that's what we got for Sheer Heart Attack at number four. Number three, we are actually going to go back to the Sheer Heart Attack itself album here, and I've got obviously the song that is known and it was the band's first international hit single, Killer Queen. So that's what we got there. Written by Freddie Mercury, um, hit number 12 in the US. And it kind of showed this a newer side to the band at the time. Because, like you were mentioning, all these songs that you're mentioning off of Queen 1, Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack was more, it was a different type of an album, obviously. And there were a few Led Zeppelin comparisons early on, with the guitar tone of Brian May and everything. But after this album and this song, obviously, it showed a whole new side of the band. And that's what I got for my number three, Killer Queen. All right. We got number one and number two. This should be really interesting.
Yeah, all right. My number two, I'm going to go back to Queen 2 for Father to Son. I love that song. It was written, the lyrics were written by Brian May. It's basically a father and son having a difficult conversation. Just it's got a lot of poignant lyrics, and it starts off with a really delicate piano intro, but then it picks up and it gets pretty heavy, and Freddie's vocal kills it. It's another great song. Yeah, my number one. I mean, I think this is one of those instances where the obvious choice, I think, is kind of the correct choice. I'm going with Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's probably the most well-known song to people who don't even know Queen that well. But I mean, just I love everything about it. I mean, it's got the beautiful piano intro by Freddie. It's got the multi-layered vocals in the middle, and then it's got a heavy solo by Brian May at the end, and the band just explodes. Just the way the song's paced. It's one of those songs on the radio I really never get sick of hearing. So yeah, that was kind of had to be my number one.
All right. Yeah, I was wondering what was going to show up there because I mean this band has so many different songs that could have been chosen,
Mhm.
And all right, well, let me go over mine real quick here, and mine will probably surprise you a little bit. Number two, I'm going back to jazz. Yeah, shockingly. I've got a song on here that you probably guys aren't familiar with. It's called In Only 7 Days. And that song, of course, was written by none other than John Deacon. It was the second song that he had written for the album, kind of like about a week-long holiday romance there. That's what it about. That's why he mentions all the different days of the week and everything. And it was the B-side to Don't Stop Me Now in most countries. Yeah, I don't know, something about this song I've always really, really loved. That Freddie has a great vocal performance on it. And it's one of those songs like you said, you just don't get sick of. And that's the key. But it never really got airplay, so
Mhm.
it makes it
Yeah.
even easier when
Hmm.
when no one played the song to begin with. I don't think I've ever heard it on the radio. Maybe if they were doing like the whole album, like when 97 Rock used to do those albums where they played the whole album from beginning to end, like on Sunday nights.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the only time you probably ever heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
One of those situations. So that's what I got for number two in only 7 days. And I'm going to stick with jazz for my number one song. And you actually mentioned this one earlier on, talking about Don't Stop Me Now. And I must say, it's amazing how this song has what it's become, what it's turned into from its initial, because it was one of these songs that it was only a number 86 in the US, peaked at number 9 in the UK. So there's a vast difference there of just, obviously the UK people are usually loyal to their bands, obviously, which is probably why it made a top 10 hit there. But 86 here is almost like an embarrassment for how great this song actually
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
you know, written by Freddie. And like I said, through time, it has become one of the band's biggest songs because, like you mentioned, it's in many programs, TV programs, film, and it really took off during sports celebrations. Like when I remember when the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, they won it the first time. They played this song as they showed the highlights of the whole Stanley Cup playoffs where the Avalanche won the cup. And it's been used many times since then as well,
Mhm.
So it's really one of those songs that has definitely become better and more loved over time. And even I hate to quote these guys because I don't know what your opinion on Rolling Stone is, but my opinion is not good with these clowns over
No.
at Rolling Stone. But hey, even they call it the third number three best Queen song of all time. So if they have some kind of a thing of saying something like that, at least it kind of backs up that me and you why we have it on our list, even though we're not agreeing with them, but the fact that they actually
Mhm.
agree that the song is good, which is a cool thing because I think sometimes some songs don't always get all the accolades and respect and all the love that they deserve. And it definitely didn't get that when Freddie, was still alive, unfortunately. This song is definitely just one of those songs that has really grown as time's gone on, kind of like a fine wine. It's just gotten
Mhm.
better. So that's what I've got for my number one. Don't stop me now. So got a couple honorable mentions here. Why don't you go ahead and just list all whatever you got written down there as your honorable mentions.
Yeah, I had Bicycle Race. That's a great song. I love that. Stone Cold Crazy, another
Yeah,
great heavy, like kind of metallic riff. I had Under Pressure, which is the duet with David Bowie. I love that song. That's probably the only moment around Hot Space I enjoy. But
yeah.
yeah. And then I think like Seven Seas of Rye was another song I had down. That's another early '70s one that I like a lot. Yeah, that's what I had.
All right. All right. So I've got Who Needs You, which was off News of the World once again, another John Deacon song. And that's actually Deacon and May both playing on the Spanish guitar in that song, which is pretty cool. Once again, John Deacon playing another instrument. And it's actually that song is interesting in the fact it's got an unlikely credit for Freddie Mercury on cowbell. So that was an interesting thing I didn't know about. I've got Somebody to Love, which is another one of their kind of radio songs that that did well. You still hear it to this day on the radio.
Mhm.
From Day at the Races, peaked at number 13 in the US, so that was definitely one of their bigger hits. And probably from that album itself, this song is The Day at the Races. This one definitely is probably the highlight of the album for sure. And then I also had two, three more because I had 15 altogether. I have If You Can't Beat Them off Jazz. That was the other John Deacon song that was he wrote in addition to In Only 7 Days. It was a lot. This one, If You Can't Beat Them, was a live favorite of the band, although it didn't appear on the Live Killers album, surprisingly. But the song really showcases some great solos there by Brian May. Definitely a highlight there. I love that song. I also have Under Pressure, which you did as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing on that song. It almost didn't happen, that song, because David Bowie was pig-headed, they said, as all four members of Queen put together. And Taylor accompanied Freddie Mercury, Bowie, and producer Mac. I guess there was a lot of back and forth if they were going to even use the song after they recorded it, all kinds of chaos. But in the end, we definitely got this great song that really has a great dynamic edge to it. And I remember seeing David Bowie back in on his last tour, and he played this song as well, and it worked out really, really good. He had his bass player sing Freddie's parts, so that was
Mhm.
pretty cool. Did you ever get to see Bowie?
No.
No. Oh man, yeah, that's a shame that he that turned out to be his last tour, and he never toured again. Really sad. He played Shays
Mhm.
on that tour, and I'll tell you that ticket was hard to get. That was a very hard to get ticket at that time. Luckily, I had a friend who had gotten the tickets, or else I wouldn't even have been able to see that one.
Yeah,
Um,
was that? I think it was 2004. It was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just yeah, who would have thought? You just never know when you see an artist. You just never know
Yeah.
if that's going to be like the last time you ever get a chance or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be. So that's why they always say, if you get a chance, don't put off, don't put it off because you just never
Mhm.
know. I mean, look at all these artists. Every day we're losing somebody in the music world that had a good career, well known, wrote many songs or plays instruments. You just never know. So it's
Mhm.
always good to when you get a chance to see the artist or the band or whatever, always try to do it just because you never know if it's going to be the last time you get to see them, especially on somebody who's kind of up there in age. You just never know. And I did also have Crazy Little Thing Called Love as an honorable mention. That song always seemed to grow on me pretty good there. I always liked
Mhm.
that one a lot. So that I had to mention that one real quick before we finished up here.
Yeah, we didn't
Um,
really talk about the game too much, but yeah, I mean, I Dragon Attack is another great song off there. So
yeah, I mean, we could be here all day. We could probably
yeah.
list our top 50 Queen. I mean, that's how hard it is when you're limited to 10 and they have like probably almost close to 200 songs out,
Mhm.
it's really just a snapshot of what we like, as
Mhm.
and what we feel has touched us and left an imprint with us, you know what I mean? So it's pretty cool though. And we had a couple songs that matched up what was it, Hammer to Fall and Don't Stop Me Now, I think were the
Mhm.
only two, but
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, definitely that's good. That gives everybody more opportunities to see some of these other songs that we discussed here for sure. All right, anything else you care to add on top of that?
Oh no, I mean, I think I will say like when the movie came out, Bohemian Rhapsody in 2018, I feel like that brought Queen even more into the mainstream, like to the younger generation, I guess. But because then like Disney started doing like Queen sing-alongs during the pandemic and stuff, and my son got really into it around that time. So that's like I feel like Queen's one of those bands that's never going to go away.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Mhm.
It'd be kind of hard, they
Mhm.
definitely left their imprint on music for sure and classic rock radio. You still hear stuff on other radio stations too, because obviously they just weren't considered rock artists. They had a lot of
Mhm.
crossover hits that hit the pop charts. Like Crazy Little Thing Called Love, of course. Another one bites the dust. We can go on and on, but
Mhm.
definitely a band who's definitely well respected. All right, well, I guess that puts a wrap on this episode, and thanks for coming on once again. We'll have
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
get together and do another episode down the road here, and pick another great artist to decide who we want to talk about, and then we'll get that all set up there.
Mhm. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. All right then. Signing off from this end of things.